We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate. This is a very special episode because this is episode number 350. Yeah, that's a long time. There's Matt. What's up, Matt? Thanks for joining live. We're broadcasting in 3 main locations. More on why soon. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and we're broadcasting on Instagram. And I'm watching all these places to see where we get the most comments from for a reason that we'll talk about as we get into the show. We have a lot to talk about today. OpenDoor is going to be making some announcements. Right now, they're taking feedback from the stockholders. So we'll talk about what maybe came up for them. And we have a history of what they've been into. We're also going to dive into the economy. I have several articles today that you will be able to display behind you and speak directly with consumers. So I think it's going to be a very practical, a lot of times we just talk about stuff about the industry and such. And it's not real practical to your buyers and sellers. Today is going to be some very practical stuff for your buyers, sellers, builders, investors. So we're going to be diving into the economic news. And we have an Olympian that is a realtor making history. I'm going to touch on their story. And are criminals using what your real estate agent put on Zillow to break into your house? Eesh. Home invasions have definitely been in the news lately, so we're going to talk about that towards the end of the show. So thanks everyone for joining. And I want to say congrats to all of you on being here for 350 episodes. I would not do this if I never had a viewer. Wouldn't that be ridiculous to do 350 shows and to have like 0 downloads on the podcast? That would be so crazy. So I want to thank all of you for being here week after week. I think we do an average of 40 something shows a year. So we are just over 8 years worth of shows at episode 350, that's wild. So thanks for being here. We've been through a lot together. We've been through, so the first, I guess, hey, hang on. Let me play some media, even though Linda may not like the background music. I know a lot of you do like the background music. I just want to reminisce a little bit because we are on episode 350. So I think it deserves a little bit of like looking back. Now, I'm not going to play any clips because I think that like messes you up long term. But anyway, but I do want to look back. Y'all remember this started because Dan and I found each other trolling in real estate groups on Facebook. Somebody would ask a stupid question and I would troll them or Dan would troll them and we would see each other's trolls and laugh about, what we said. And we would make it sound like we were very serious and not sarcastic at all. And I understood it was a troll. He understood it was a troll. And we had a ton of fun doing that. So that's where we met. We became fast friends, messaging each other different trolls and stuff. But the other thing that annoyed us was just how, I don't want to say this without sounding like, pompous, but the industry was just missing a lot of education. It seemed like no one knew what was actually happening or actually going on. And the other thing that was driving Dan and I crazy are the headlines. They were just off. For instance, they were all built around panic and they still are. Sad to say, almost 8 years in, we haven't really been able to change the media and get them to actually produce headlines that are true to what's actually happening. But you'd see headlines like home price gains slow this week and talk about how bad housing was. But if you really slowed down to look at the sentence, homes were still gaining in value. But the rate of those gains had just slowed down. So that was always a famous one that we were kind of making fun of. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I could do that, Matt. I'll see. Matt said, do yourselves a favor and go back to watch show number 1.
I'm going to be doing a whole reaction video to this full 1 hour show.
Are you really? Oh man.
Yeah.
That's
so
a struggle.
we're going to go
tag Dan. That's
I'm only going to post it to MySpace though.
You'll probably get more views than we had on it.
No, I don't think so. No, it's at a resurgence. It's at a resurgence because I've been posting about it from my secret accounts. Yeah.
Golly, it's a struggle. Yeah, troll week in real estate. That's kind of what it was. So Dan and I started talking about what was happening in the market and what was going on, and pretty regularly. And we wanted to like post about it, but that seemed lame. So we were like, hey, we've been having these conversations. Why don't we just start a podcast and talk about this stuff? And Dan was like, yes. So Dan kind of had an idea for the show itself. I had an idea of what the format might look like, where we dive into headlines and display them and talk about those headlines as we go through. And so that's how the Bearded Men of Real Estate was born. That was the name of the first show, the Bearded Men of Real Estate. We ran into some issues with the Bearded Men of Real Estate years down the road because no one knew what our show was about. Even though it says the Bearded Men of Real Estate, and you could argue that kind of seems self-explanatory, there were so many people that would ask questions like, do y'all talk about beard oil? What do you talk about? Like male grooming? Right? No, it's not. It's more about the real estate than the bearded man part. But it was genuinely odd. Sorry for some of you that may be viewers today that came up to me and said stuff like that. I don't mean to put you on blast, but so we changed the name to This Week in Real Estate, and we continue to do the show. One of the things that we loved about the show is that it wasn't pre-recorded. There was no editing, and it was live, meaning that you could comment and we could display your comment and talk about you, or just talk about your comment, such as Olivier saying there's more on YouTube. There are more people on YouTube. So we can interact with people immediately. And we could also get feedback from real estate professionals around the country and the world who would tell us what was happening in their market. Or we would read an article talking about housing in Phoenix, and somebody from Phoenix would say, actually, and that was hugely valuable to adding more context to the conversation. And there was no other show like it. There still is not another show like it with live react to real estate news, especially from a bearded guy. I mean, that's a small category, very small category. So that's what we continue to do. Eventually, Dan took a different gig. He's still in real estate, but he took like a gig with a construction company, and he had to work like actual hours. So no longer could Dan skip out at 10 a.m. Cali time to do the show. Huge mistake by the construction company. They should have said, son, you definitely have to do the show because that's going to promote us, but they didn't. Maybe one day Dan will come back. So then it became just me. But what I was encouraged by, and somebody asked me this, I guess it was the beginning of the week. I was talking about doing the show and how it was kind of fun. It was episode 350. And they were like, is it just you talking? And I said, yeah, but no, it's not, because it's more than just me. There's a whole audience on Clubhouse that raises their hand and comes up and adds their voice to the show and context to the show. There are people in Instagram, I see you guys over there now, that can comment and add their comment to the show. There are people on YouTube, Facebook. And so it became something that's actually more than me. I'm just kind of the main voice, I guess you could say. But this show is definitely way more than just me. So thank you to all of those that have stuck it out. Episode 350 is a big milestone. So I'm proud of it. And also I recognize that you guys have a huge part in this, because I definitely would not do this if it was just me sitting around on a microphone pre-recording news stories. That would be so boring.
Oh, please don't ever do that. Yeah. Please don't ever do that. I got dibs on Kramer, by the way, if we're talking like Seinfeld setup here.
All right, here's the thumbnail for today. So cheers to 350. So thanks for joining us there. Okay. Oh, wow. We got a bunch of people over in Clubhouse. What's up, guys? What's up? Let me make some moderators.
I was on a call and I missed the monologue. I'll look for the replay.
Got to do the replay.
You got to donate, Jack. You got to donate to the stream.
That's right. Well,
it's $350 today only, but that's a limited time offer. Yeah.
So
hopefully I'm not Stanza. That's all I have to say.
We have an opening just for you.
That's right.
Glasses and bald men applied.
That'll work. No, we are broadcasting on less places. I should probably address that. We, ironically, this week of the 350th episode, StreamYard contacted me and said, hey, due to your stream, and I guess it's popularity, I don't know exactly how they do this, but like, we are going to automatically upgrade you to the business stream. And so I don't know if y'all know this, but I don't make a lot of money off the show. I think I've made $25 in donations. So I don't, through 8 years. I'm not complaining about it. It's a fun show. I get referrals and things like that. So it's not a big deal. But I don't make money directly off the show. So what that means is if something raises their price, like StreamYard, and puts me in a category that I don't think I'm supposed to be in for sure, then huge red flags. And so one of the things I realized is that they had previously upgraded me to this advanced form, which was double what I was paying. Then they wanted to upgrade me to this business class, which was almost 10x what I had been paying. So it'd be like $3,000 a year. And I'm not going to do that. So I went back down to the tier that I thought was appropriate because I'm an individual creator. And due to the changes and everything, it did take away some of the streams. So I get 3 streams. But then I put this question out there on my Facebook and everything. I kind of like this because I also felt like having so many streams was fragmenting the audience. And I was curious if having fewer streams would have more conversation and discussion in key places. So we're officially streaming on the This Week in Real Estate Facebook page, on the This Week in Real Estate YouTube page, and on my Instagram. So Ray Zorback, RAYZORBACK. And I'm going to keep an eye on what the views do, what the engagement's like. You know, if I don't have a lot of engagement on Instagram, then we may try a different stream and cut that stream. Because the idea of the show is not just to like have me sitting there so you see my face. That's great. But the idea of the show is for you to participate and for you to be engaged with the news because you'll have a better understanding of it. So if there are platforms that no one is engaging with, then we will kind of move around and try different platforms until we can find the ideal mix. So that's the plan moving forward. All right. Well, thank you guys again. Thanks for coming. Thanks all of you in Clubhouse. I'll see you there. Jack said, how many years? So officially, I'll have to go look at what's the official start date on that YouTube post, Matt?
It says 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But you know how YouTube is. They're a little like,
yeah,
we're not going to give you the exact date. So you'd probably have to go into your channel and see. But
yeah,
it says 8 years ago. There were only 2 videos that said 8 years ago.
I think I actually re-uploaded it. I don't even know if that's the original live. So it could be longer, but we originally started, I think we tried to live cast to YouTube and there was no one there. So we stopped going to YouTube because the experts at the time were like, oh, YouTube live, no one's ever going to watch that. You should go to Facebook. So then we started broadcasting live on Facebook. And that was in the heyday of Facebook Lives. We get thousands of people watching the show live, which was really cool. And y'all remember the Couch Gang that dropped by that one time and just like spammed us. It was so fun. But yeah, we were getting 2,000 to 3,000 people per show streaming it live. And then we'd have another couple of thousand seeing it after the show. And then Facebook changed that algorithm and totally destroyed it. We went from 2,000 people to 20 people. And that's really hard to have a show that has direct feedback when you're just like broadcasting one week, you got 2,000 and the next week you got 20, you're like, what happened? So, yeah, that was tough. But that's why we moved back over to YouTube. Then we started making our podcast available through a service, and we actually had to remove it from that service and put it on Instagram, on Apple. So that's why, if you go back to the annals of history, you'll see on, isn't that the right word? You'll see on the podcast I keep thinking of Instagram. That's what I'm trying to think of. iTunes. You'll see on the Apple podcast an incomplete history. It's got like 100 and something episodes on there, I think, is where it started. So that's why I think I am the only one with all copies of all episodes archived somewhere on some drive. But I'm not too worried about it. Old news is old news. So this is definitely a timely, this is not an evergreen show normally. So
yeah, it says 709 videos. Your first two were on Google, it looks like. Maybe like a Google Meetup type thing. And then BeLive.net was another one.
I remember BeLive. Yeah, that's crazy.
709 videos, though.
Is that how much we've gotten now? 709?
Yeah, and I will give my compliments where they're due. The backgrounds have gotten significantly better. The first couple were like a whiteboard, and I think Dan just had a black wall behind.
That's literally all it was at the time.
Much better. Yeah, much better.
Here, I think I can do this because it's my page without something.
You get a strike on yourself.
Yeah. Well, what they do is if they don't necessarily strike you, they'll tamp it down. And so you don't really know.
I mean, YouTube's not making any money at all, so I don't know why they would do that.
Y'all be sure to tag Dan. All right, I don't think it's going to share the audio. Hang on. Let me redo this and share audio. No, hang on. Stop screen. Share screen. Bear with me. All right. The first episode ever of The Bearded Men of Real Estate. This is how it started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bearded Men of Real Estate podcast. I'm Ray.
Hey, I'm Dan.
And we are the Bearded Men of Real Estate, or Be More.
Sure.
So this is a little show that we put together. It's basically industry related. We're going to run through the headlines about what affects you in real estate. We've got several this week, actually. Okay, I'm not going to watch the whole thing. If y'all want to watch the whole thing, look at that shirt, though. I was wearing a button-down shirt. Ralph Lauren. There's Dan. There's Dan in his office with a short beard. Both of us have way more white in our hair and beards now. So
well, I've replaced the whiteboard by saying like and subscribe in the back.
That's right. You see, it does say like and subscribe back there, and then heart share. Now that was actually for a video I made talking about the housing market. I used to do housing data dumps with a whiteboard.
Good positioning on your part.
Now I have a chalkboard. I don't even have a whiteboard anymore. I went backwards in technology, you could say. So we weren't even good at showing like on screen. We had nothing to show on screen about like all the Hangouts on air. Man, that was back in the day. Hangouts on air. Crazy. All right. Well, there you go. That was the first show. Go check it out. Let me go back to the articles. We got some fun stuff to talk about today. And I have a bit of a backstory that I want to get into. So let me jump over there. One moment, please. Okay. Oh, wait, I got to stop music and then. All right, here we go. Y'all ready?
OpenDoor, a bit of a backstory. Once upon a time, in the not-so-distant year of 2014, a new power rose in the land of real estate. Its name was OpenDoor, and it carried not a sword, but an algorithm. From its first stronghold in Phoenix, it promised a kind of magic. Type your address into the blank, and an offer would appear. No showings, no staging, No negotiation. Avoid all of those pesky realtor fees. To many homeowners, this sounded like a shortcut through the dark forest of real estate transactions. To investors, it looked like alchemy, turning data into houses and houses back into gold. And to some in the agent guild, it felt like a siege engine rolling towards the castle gates. Between 2017 and 2019, OpenDoor expanded its territory: Atlanta, Raleigh, Orlando, Tampa, Minneapolis. It secured vast financing lines, partnered with builders, and refined its buy box spells. By 2020, it entered the public markets through a SPAC merger, raising over $1 billion. By late 2021, it was acquiring more than 15,000 homes in a single quarter. Its banners flew high. The tale being told in the town square was clear. The algorithm will replace the agents. But here is what was really happening. OpenDoor was not storming the castles of strong listing agents. It was riding into battle against flippers, institutional buyers, and sellers willing to trade treasure for speed. In fact, during the great housing boom of 2020 to 2021, there were moments when even agents used OpenDoor as the buyer, because the algorithm, eager to win inventory, sometimes paid above what seasoned investors believed the market justified. In a rising kingdom, that strategy looked heroic. Then came the dragon. In 2022, the Federal Reserve unleashed a firestorm of rate hikes. Mortgage rates leapt from roughly 3% to over 7%. Demand cooled. Appreciation slowed. The dragon's name was interest rate shock, and it burned thin margins to ash. OpenDoor found itself holding thousands of homes purchased near the peak, financed with borrowed coin. Revenue remained large, but profits turned negative. Inventory had to be marked down. Workforce reduced. Buy boxes narrowed. The spell that once multiplied gains now magnified losses. And as the glow of magic faded, some villagers looked more closely at the fine print. The instant offer often came with service fees, repair credits, and post-inspection renegotiations. Some sellers discovered that after adjustments their net proceeds were similar to, and sometimes less than, what a skilled agent might have secured on the open market. The promise of certainty felt, to some, more conditional than advertised. So, OpenDoor recalibrated. From 2023 forward, it shifted toward disciplined underwriting, capital-light channels, contribution margins over conquest. It remained in more than 40 markets, but the ambition to rule the realm gave way to a more modest aim. Survive, stabilize, optimize. And the agents? They were still there, because pricing a home from a tower of spreadsheets is not the same as riding into negotiation on behalf of a client. An algorithm can estimate value. It cannot read hesitation across a closing table. It cannot sense when to push, when to pause, when to protect. The great prophecy, that agents would be replaced, turned out to be misplaced. OpenDoor was not the dragon that would burn the guild to the ground. It was a new merchant in the marketplace. Powerful when conditions favored speed and spread, vulnerable when the wind shifted. And so the story stands as a reminder. Algorithm magic is alchemy in rising markets. Dragons emerge when leverage meets reality. And castles built on fundamentals, trust, advocacy, hyperlocal expertise, and a focus on consumer experience endure longer than brief spells of fleeting revenues for venture capital kings. OpenDoor.
Ta-da! There's our story time. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do a couple of more backstories when we dive in, but it was too much, way too much for me to just go into this backstory without having the backstory first. Or go into this next story without having the backstory first. So let's talk about OpenDoor. They are in the news. OpenDoor pushes an AI pivot amid stock volatility. So as you heard in the story, they didn't do so hot as the iBuyer, and so they changed and pivoted their underwriting. They actually started going into seller leads to where they would get leads for agents and send them to the agents. And now they're going to pivot again, but it sounds eerily similar to what they tried to do beforehand. So OpenDoor Technologies, once high-flying iBuyer that helped define online home buying, is undergoing a strategic reset as renewed pressure hits stock and other prominent real estate tech names. The NASDAQ-listed company appointed Kaz Najatian as CEO last year, signaling a shift in priorities in that direction. At the time, OpenDoor's co-founders, Keith Robus and Eric Wu, have returned to the board, and the company has outlined upgrades to its AI pricing tools. It's part of an effort to sharpen its competitive positioning and rebuild investor confidence. It sounds like they're going to go back towards what they originally tried. And what they originally tried was working because the markets were increasing faster than their mistakes. When the market settled, they took huge hits. So leadership changes, let's see, let me keep going to the bottom. Leaning into AI to speed, pricing, and operations. A big part of OpenDoor's reset centers on rebuilding its home buying operation around AI automation. I mean, who here trusts this? I don't trust it. I've seen what AI does. I've seen what really well-trained AI can do, and I don't think it can do this, especially in my market. We are refounding OpenDoor as a software and AI company. Our business will succeed by building technology that makes selling and buying and owning a home easier and more joyful, not from charging high spreads and hoping macro saves us. So what is this back-end technology that makes buying and owning a home easier and more enjoyable?
I was just thinking about it the other day where AI is just going to bring a whole new wave of, in air quotes, disruptors.
Yeah,
who still won't figure out the last mile and will all likely fail miserably.
Well, and the number one disruptor was supposed to be the big settlement, right? There was supposed to be a giant settlement, and that big settlement was supposed to disrupt everything. But now real estate agents are making more than ever.
Yep.
Congratulations to those that disrupted us.
I think you should start your conversation at NAR with that.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I hesitate to say that I think they're probably proud of that they weren't disrupted by the lawsuit, even though brokerages are ticked because they paid millions and millions of dollars. Agents are the ones that are coming out right on this.
Yeah, I mean, they can't be proud of it, but, because they failed at the end of the day.
Bet me.
Yeah, quietly. And they're probably listening to this show leading up to your visit, so I'll try to keep it clean.
No, I've asked several people, because I'm figuring they want feedback. I mean, why else would they have me there? I assume it's not to preach to me. I assume it is to have a conversation. So I am trying to get as much feedback as possible of, regular agents. And what do I define as a regular agent? One that's not a member of the local board, that's enthralled in the politics of real estate. If you're a regular agent and you have something that you want to tell NAR, let me know, because if they really want to hear, I am willing to have the conversation, and I'll report back and let you know if they actually wanted to hear or not.
So are you willing to walk out of the room?
I don't see why I'd need to. Why would I need to?
I don't know. I mean, are they having you there to bully you, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to happen.
Right.
I know that's not going to happen. I'm hoping that they have a conversation about the stuff that they're actually doing to make real estate great again. That's what I'm hoping. That they'll say, like, hey, here's the stuff that we're doing that's going to help these agents. Here are the things. And I'm hoping they say, what do you guys think? That's what I'm hoping. And then I can say, hey, honestly, this is what a lot of people think. So DM me and tell me what you think. I mean, I think I know from the show and from the feedback and the way this show is. Rega, MREGA, make real estate great again. I think I know, but fresh voices and messages, things I can show them would be helpful. So anyway, OpenDoor, not the disruptor is, as y'all were saying, as Jack was saying, not the disruptor that everyone thought they were. And if y'all remember on our show, Have we been around that long? Yeah, we've been around longer than when they did the IPO in 2020. So we saw OpenDoor as a startup at its peak, and now as this leftover software company. And as a startup, everyone was saying, this is going to end agents. This is going to end agents. This is going to end agents. And we were saying, no, you're really just fighting flippers. I remember we were saying that the flippers are the ones that have to be concerned with this. The people that were buying houses and quickly flipping them back on the market. Those are the people that OpenDoor is competing against. It's not the agents, because there's always going to be a differentiation. There's always going to be a discount. There's always going to be somebody to buy a home fast for less money and try to flip it back onto the market. But those aren't real estate agents. So they didn't disrupt real estate agency. I think they did disrupt flippers. I know flippers that were coming into our market because OpenDoor wasn't there, and they were in other markets saying, we can't buy a house over there because OpenDoor is paying these crazy high prices. We're not even going to get close to that. So the investors started changing into other markets. So they seem to directly compete with the investors. But now they're trying to use AI tools to accelerate underwriting, standardized inspection data, and improve valuation models, with the goal of shortening turnaround times and reducing manual steps in the buying and resale process. Reducing manual steps. So let's break it down. Accelerate underwriting. So they're going to look at the buyer and the property and use AI to assess whether the buyer should buy the property and whether the property should be bought by the buyer based on lending requirements. Right? I mean, that's a simplification, but that's basically what the AI is going to do. Standardized inspection data. So if they're standardizing inspection data, that means they're going to read the inspection. I'm assuming it's the property inspection report. It's not like a city inspection or appraisal. So they want to take the inspection data and standardize it and break it down. They're probably going to put valuations and estimations based on repairs that are necessary. But in order to do that, they have to be able to interpret the data and to list it in a way that doesn't miss anything big and that puts the context for that local area that maybe some other place doesn't have. For instance, a basement in Arkansas and finding a little moisture in there is a huge deal because Arkansas is very wet. And if you have moisture in the basement, it's a big deal. Now, a slight bit of moisture up north or something may not be as big of a deal because it's easy to fix and it's a basement and you guys all have basements everywhere. So you do have to make regional modifications to that standardized quote unquote inspection data if you want to invest in multiple places around the country. But they're going to somehow use AI to standardize the inspection data so they could quickly evaluate it and evaluate the property. Then they want to use AI to improve valuation models. Okay. So I assume this is a standard comparative market analysis. What do properties sell for? What should this property sell for? I assume they would do a competitive listing analysis, looking at other properties currently on the market and measuring how this property stacks up against those. And I would assume they're looking at absorption rate, how fast properties are coming off and on the market. And they're going to improve their valuation model using AI. Of all of these things that are possible, I think, which one is the hardest? Accelerating underwriting, standardized inspection data, or improve valuation models? I'm going to say, as long as the data stays public, I think valuation models may be the easiest because all the information they can gather could help it. Which one's the hardest, in my opinion, is going to be the inspection data. I think that's the hardest because a lot of the inspection data is subjective. You're going to have one inspector that says you need to check out the foundation, and another inspector is going to say you have regular settling. So although you can standardize the inspection data, you can't standardize the inspector. Even though the inspector is supposed to be going with ASCII standards, they all have different opinions. Some, and you guys know this, real estate agents know this, some inspectors CYA themselves on everything, right? There's a GFCI outlet near something that could be wet and they'll say a professional master electrician needs to come and change this GFCI outlet. So a computer is going to look at that and say, well, the cost for that is going to be roughly $150 to $200. So, but then you have to make a handyman adjustment because a handyman will do it for you for $75 plus $20 to install. So do you really need a master electrician? No. Like the homeowner could also do it. So some inspectors aren't even going to ding that. They're going to say, hey, when the home was built, this was to code. It's not currently to code, but you don't have to update it. So some inspectors are going to ignore that and say it's nothing major, while another inspector is going to say, this is a major, major fire hazard. So I think your underwriting, because they're in so many processes already and banks already have a lot of the processes there, and they already have the standards that they have to meet and even computer programs to help you with part of it. I think that's going to be the easiest place. An easier place than the standardized inspection. But your evaluation models, as long as stuff's saying public, that could get pretty accurate, I think. I don't know. What do you guys say? Jack, you're going to say something is the hardest. Which one do you think is the hardest out of that list?
Yeah, I was going to say valuation, but as we talked about last week, I'm in a super small market where there really aren't exact comparisons. I mean, if you're in a city, it's easy to, granulate down through a bunch of different apartment buildings, to have more data to work with. But it's, it's like studying for a final exam every time I value a property, given the comparisons that aren't accurately comparable. And again, I mean, there are so many things that come into play. It could be a regional school issue that only happens for 6 or 8 months, but it might have a spin on the value of that property at that given time. And, it just I would say valuation would be the toughest to do. And it sort of equates back to that last mile that everybody's trying to grab.
I could definitely see how some of the hyper localization affecting value is something that the computer wouldn't be able to do. I don't know if it could ever do that. So what are the chances that OpenDoor figures this out? I guess that's my question, because that's what investors have to look at now. That's what OpenDoor has to look at now. Their goal is to shorten the turnaround times, reducing manual steps in the buying and resale process. So they still want to buy and resell. That is still part of their goal. So they've said, hey, we're going to be a tool company to be behind the scenes and help people do business better. And then they say, hey, we're still going to be doing the fast turnaround and buying and selling of houses. The analysts say the broader aim is to move OpenDoor away from purely capital-heavy flipping model and toward a more software-driven marketplace that emphasizes efficiency and repeatable process. That is such corporate legal speak. I don't know what they're saying.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to repeat it again. Analysts say the broader aim is to move OpenDoor away from purely capital-heavy flipping. All right. So purely capital-heavy flipping model, that's what they were, toward a more software-driven marketplace that emphasizes efficiency and repeatable processes. So does that mean that they're not going to be putting out the capital, but they're going to identify, okay, maybe they're going to be the ones identifying, using software to identify potential flips based on ease of underwriting, what they predict the inspection might be, and what they predict the valuations might be. And then you, as an investor, can use their information to purchase the property and then have a repeatable process, because they're not using their own capital to do it. So they're using someone else's capital. The company has framed these upgrades as essential to improving unit economics while maintaining transaction volume in a volatile housing market. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. OpenDoor is not yet the Amazon of housing, but it's increasingly being built like one. What?
What?
That's Shrabana Mukherjee recently wrote for Zacks. Okurji argues that OpenDoor's reset echoes Amazon's early strategy. Focus first on speed, operational efficiency, and customer experience, then build higher margin and services on top of that foundation. But they haven't even put a definition of what the new business model looks like. The company is already moving in that direction by building adjacent offerings, including mortgage products, home warranties, trade-in programs, while pursuing a longer-term vision of establishing third-party buyers and sellers to transact. Okay, there you go. While pursuing a long-term version, I don't know why I missed this the first time I read it, but I did. Long-term vision of enabling third-party buyers and sellers to transact directly on its platform. So yeah, so what they're wanting to do, they're wanting you to trust their algorithm and their numbers, but they don't want to be they don't want to be the one to do it. Huh. Bold move, Cotton.
They want to build a system.
Mm-hmm.
So the flipper model is super volatile, market cycle dependent, but a system that you put into place that might solve some problems or might scratch some people's itches, is certainly more sustainable.
Right.
But again, they're nobody's going to get that last mile.
Yeah. Let me show you guys what the questions are right now from investors. So these are investors from stockholders, or these are questions from stockholders, and they can upvote the ones that OpenDoor will handle during the call. Last call we spoke about profitability in Q3 or Q4. Are we still on track? What can we expect for OpenDoor Q2? 3.1 million shares voted for this, 301 votes. Where is OpenDoor currently on expectations of profitability? So a lot of profit. Strategy questions. With the stock down significantly since your tenure, how should investors assess progress? What key metrics reflect operational improvement? What is the strategy to restore market confidence? And then just some general questions. What I found was interesting is I had to go down pretty low to find any questions at all about real estate agents. A lot of profitability, a lot of expansion, acquisition, mortgage. Let me go to, you go up to the top and search. Plus 26. Let's see, realtors. There's one. There's one question of realtors, or that had realtor. Here it is. Traditional real estate agents remain the primary gatekeepers to real estate market. What is the long-term strategy to neutralize the anti-OpenDoor sentiment in the brokerage community, which currently steers potential customers away from the OpenDoor ecosystem? 426,000 shares voted for this, 24 votes. Isn't that an interesting question? So really, they're not really thinking much about us, to be honest. Most of the questions are about profitability, AI, and growth strategy. They're not really thinking about agents hardly at all. Which I think the way to quote unquote defeat agents is the if you can't beat them, join them strategy. That's what they should do. They should just say, hey, we're actually going to partner with agents and try to make all of this stuff better. We're actually going to use agents and say, hey, Mr. Investor, if you want to buy this property, do it through Derek, the realtor. That's what they should do. I don't know where Derek is. Derek in the chat? Derek's not in the chat today. Armando, the realtor. There you go, Armando. So we'll see what happens. If y'all have a question and you're a shareholder, be sure to go to that website. You could submit questions. You could follow NEJATIAN over on Twitter, and then click on say, and then you guys can vote for the questions. Yeah, I don't think you could just put it in the chat. You don't have to text me. Somebody texts that they don't think OpenDoor will be around that long. Well, if they don't change, it's going to be tough. Matt Lamar says, kind of like, looks like chat created some of these questions. Yeah, ChatGPT, I assume. Chat in the streaming world is you guys, just so you know. Like whenever someone in the streaming world says, "What's up, chat?" they're talking to you. So you say chat. I'm assuming you mean ChatGPT.
Yeah, I do mean
Yeah,
chat.
yeah. Okay.
See, my fingers got stuck on the Donald Trump wearing a Moringa shirt. Sorry. I was over in Nano Banana for a second. Sorry. Go back to your regularly scheduled program.
From Nano Banana. Oh, Hillary, I just saw your comment about Con. That's hilarious. Oh, so you guys gotta be logged into YouTube to see this. Yeah. All right. A lot of agents say they're in the top 1% or top 10%. You know, I think it's a thing that we've been known to say for years, and we all get these awards. And once we get the awards, we love to show off our awards. How many of us can say that you're actually a gold medal winner? Given the extra attention to one of the sports called curling, I thought it would be interesting to bring up to my Canadian friends that the U.S. Olympic curling doubles champion in mixed doubles is a real estate agent. Isn't that neat? Corey Dropkin. There he is right there. Corey Dropkin. When he's not selling homes in Minnesota, he's making history on Olympic ice. The 30-year-old Duluth, Minnesota real estate pro helped secure the first ever U.S. Olympic silver medal in mixed doubles curling at the 2026 Winter Olympics. He and his teammate Corey Thesey defeated defending 2022 Olympic gold medalist Italy to clinch the final spot and battle Sweden in a gold medal matchup. And they did it without cheating. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool, Olivier? Oh, he's on the phone.
I think you're going to get crickets over there. Oh, he's on the phone.
Oh, he missed it. Oh, no.
I'll remind you here shortly when he gets off the phone.
I mean,
Don't worry.
I just think this year, you know, we usually, I think every 4 years I have to reteach my kids what curling is. But we've always enjoyed watching the Olympics. I think this year there was just a touch more interest than normal. Okay. That's a funny joke for those of you who are curling fans.
I tried. I was muted. My bad. I need to leave myself unmuted.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, you need the moral support over here.
No, I'm good. I'm used to laughing alone. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Well, let's go. Well, there's Olivier right there. Olivier, you got off the call right in time.
How about some hockeys?
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about mortgage rates. Going to the economy. Mortgage rates sink. See, it sounds so negative. It's not negative. It's a good thing. Mortgage rates sink to the lowest level in a month, sparking more refinance demand. Mortgage interest rates dropped last week to the lowest level in a month, prompting more current buyers to seek savings in a refinance. While lower rates did not give potential buyers much incentive, the run on refinances was enough to push total mortgage demand 2.8% higher compared with the previous week. But I know what you're thinking. What was it compared to the previous year? Applications to refi rose 7% for the week and were 132% higher than the same week a year ago. Huh? Applications to purchase a home dropped 3% for the week and were only 8% higher than the same week a year ago. Isn't that good? It's improved year over year. That's great. While lower mortgage rates are making homes slightly more affordable, new supply is not coming onto the market fast enough. A concern over the broader economy has consumers sitting on the sidelines. Well, it is a really good market if you're out there as a buyer right now, because there are a lot of buyers sitting on the sidelines and you can get a pretty good rate. And if you get a pretty good rate, guess what? Builders are cutting prices faster than sellers. 19.3% of new homes saw price drops. Nearly 1 in 5 new homes cut prices in Q4 2025. For the first time in recent history, builders are discounting more aggressively than sellers. According to Realtor.com's latest new construction insights report, 19.3% of new construction had price reductions versus 18% of existing homes. Builders are competing harder on price overall, while new home values remain relatively stable. And detached new construction is emerging as a competitively priced option. Let's see. Builders are cutting faster than sellers. Here's where it's had the most drastic difference. 24.8% of new builds in Nevada had price reductions as compared to 19.6% of existing homes. Indiana was 23.3 compared with 22.1. New Jersey, 19.9 compared with 10.7. So this is one of those articles, like these combination of articles, right? You guys can put behind you and say, guys, did you know that mortgage rates are sinking to the lowest level in a month? And while a lot of people are looking for refi, I would encourage you, go out and try the new construction. Builders are cutting prices faster than sellers. Builders are holding inventory and they need to sell. Builders make money by selling homes. They don't make money by holding homes. So, those are two stories back to back that you guys could do. Put it on your stories and see what happens. I strongly encourage it. Builder sentiment. They're having to drop prices. So guess what? Their builder sentiment edges lower. Affordability challenges, including high housing price to income ratios and elevated land construction costs, help push builder confidence lower for the second straight month. Builder confidence in a market for newly built single family fell 1 point to 36 in February. Remember, anything lower than 50 is considered negative. Robert Dietz, the NAHB chief economist, said housing affordability remains an ongoing challenge at the start of 2026. The solution for the housing market is the enactment of policies that will bend the construction cost curve and enable additional supply of attainable housing. On the positive side, easing inflation should continue to allow lower interest rates for mortgages and builder loans. Well, these builder loans, that's more important than just general mortgage rates. Having super low interest on builder loans is a great thing because it allows them to build a home and not charge for that additional interest. Somehow getting lower prices through different supplies and getting lower prices through, the cost cutting of what it takes to develop a lot would be huge. Interestingly, I'm wondering what, I'm assuming labor is a little more expensive than it used to be, especially with all the focus on deportations and all that kind of stuff. We know that there was a portion of the construction industry that was serviced by people being paid cash, illegal aliens under the table. So now that there is a lot of focus on that and less, and even some builders are being held accountable for that, I'm wondering if that increased labor cost is going to show up as well. But it is to a fair labor wage. So I don't have a problem with the increased labor costs if you're paying people what they should be paid. I don't know. We'll see. Overall, though, of course, that makes housing starts slower. Housing starts inch lower in 2025. Total housing starts for 2025 were 1.36 million, down 0.6 from the 1.37 million total in 2024. Single-family home building dipped in 2025 because of ongoing affordable challenges, fueled by high housing price to income ratios and elevated financing construction costs. So we also have a decline in the pending home sales. So pending home sales decline in all but 5 major metros. Typical home that sells takes 66 days to do so, the longest span in 7 years, as buyers break time looking at their options and negotiating with sellers. Pending home sales fell 5.1% year over year during the 4 weeks ending February 8th. It's the biggest decline in over a year. Homes are also taking too long to sell when buyers are hesitant, partially because housing costs are high. And there's a lot more negotiating going on right now as far as the inspections and repairs too. So, however, with all of this news, with all of this bad news, with builders, housing starts slowing, with builders' costs going up, with builders cutting their list prices, we still see that U.S. home prices crept up 0.3% in January. Now, the YouTube crash bros are going to tell you that this is bad. They're going to say, oh, this means that there's a big crash coming because they can't sustain these prices continue to go up. And it's just baloney. The reason why they think that is because our generation was one of the first generations to ever see home prices decline over a 10-year period. Previously, it didn't decline because there was always more people and less land. And as long as there's more people and less land, home prices are going to necessarily go up. Now, there may be some regional differences and maybe some local differences. There may be some depressed areas and maybe some areas that are going up more than normal. But over time, over most 10-year periods, home prices increase and home values increase. And that is normal. So even in a market that some would say affordability is such a key issue and no one can afford to buy a house and blah, 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 home prices are still going to go up. So this is a note for consumers as well, because if you're thinking about purchasing a home and you're currently renting one, every month that goes by without you purchasing a home means that you'll be paying more for the home in the future because home prices are still going up. So you can wait until, the interest rates drop and then everybody and their dog jumps into the market and now they're overpaying for homes and putting offers in above ask. So yeah, you're welcome to wait, but why wait? This is the message that if I were you, I would definitely put out there for people. It's the truth. U.S. home prices crept up 0.3% for the month over in January, month over month in January, seasonally adjusted basis, following a 0.2% gain in December. Prices rose 2.1% from a year earlier. It's down from 2.4%. And that's what we anticipated. We anticipated a flattening. And you can see how back in 2012, where the home price index was, and then the steeper, it wasn't crazy steep, it wasn't a hockey stick, but there was a steeper incline through the COVID years. And now you see where it's just kind of returned to normal. And so you're going to see that normal, steady 2 to 3% increase year over year. Some areas are going to have a 6% increase. Some areas are going to have 0.01% increase. But roughly everywhere you look, home prices are going to go up and continue to go up. Homes will retain their value. Matt Lamarche said 7 in 10 homes sold in Atlanta in January sold under asking or were overpriced, depending on your perspective. So this is interesting too, because a lot of people would read this stat, Matt, and they would think, oh, well, obviously that means that home prices are decreasing. Home values are going down. If 7 to 10 homes in Atlanta sold under asking, doesn't that mean that home prices are going down? And the answer is no. That means that list prices are too high compared to where homes are selling. But Matt, I almost guarantee that of those 7 and 10 homes that sold, actually of all 10 of those homes that sold, there were probably only 1 or 2 of them that sold for, something that wasn't a profit for that seller.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's one of the things we include in our listing presentation when we're talking about like comps. Like, yeah, it sold for less. Well, how much less? $1 less? $1,000 less? Because, to me, that's a super contextual thing, right? But then in addition, when I'm prior to going on a listing appointment, I'll call 2 or 3 agents of the like most recent sales, either in that neighborhood area or whatever, and I'll ask about the compensation.
Yeah.
Not because I care, but because I want to know. Because if everyone's not taking compensation or a discount, fill in the blank, right? To me, that's valuable. And it also helps prepare my sellers. But yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, people read that and they're like, oh, I knew it. I can go get a screaming deal right now. It's like, well,
yeah,
potentially. Yeah.
Maybe.
But I mean, I just had one on the market last week that got 4 offers. Like, I'm one in the three that we're selling at or above.
Yeah. Well-priced new product that comes on the home, well-priced new product that comes on the market and is prepared. The house looks cute. Everything's well-maintained. It looks like a good deal. Real estate agents are going to rush their people over that are in that price range because they're like, hey, this is a good listing. I think it's going to sell. And they're going to try to sell it as soon as possible. The other listing that real estate agents love to show is homes that have been on the market a long time and reduced, right? Because then I could take all my lowball clients over there and just like, hey, let's just put in an offer because who knows what they're going to say. So the goal is to be in that well-priced new product range. And if you can coach your clients to do that, then you're going to sell in a very short period of time, no matter what the market's doing. I remember when it was a big deal to sell a property in 30 to 40 days. Our market at the time was 120 days on average. And my average was just less than 30 days. And it was like, whoa, that's so amazing. And then we went through the COVID era and my average became hours. And it was no longer amazing to sell in less than 30 days. There would be properties on the market for 2 weeks and buyers would say, what's wrong with it? Which we still get. I listed a property, beautiful home, and it was on the market for about 2.5 weeks. And people are like, oh, it's not on their contract yet. Is it overpriced? What's wrong with it? Like, no, nothing is wrong with it. So I think it's going to take a while for everyone to shift around still, because we still have, that memory from 2.5 years ago. And in consumers' life, 2.5 years is not very long, because they don't think about housing every day. They may not even think about buying a house every day. They're not thinking about where to go, they're thinking about their stuff, right? They're thinking about going to the gym, going to work, hanging out with friends, whatever. As real estate agents, we think about this stuff all the time. So 2 years ago seems like a long time ago, but in the life of just somebody living life, that seems like yesterday. And so those rates and prices seem like yesterday too.
But 2022 was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
and markets in general aren't either hot or cold. I mean, in anybody's market, you might have greater buyer opportunity between 4 and 6, but 7 to 9 is small. Demand is high, and
right.
You're not getting a deal there. So it's again the last mile conversation.
Well, and one of the interesting things is that cash prices or cash purchases were down. I was talking to a title company because there's that new rule about cash prices, and they're like, hey, or cash purchases. And they said, is this going to affect a lot of your clients? I said, not right now. Maybe a couple of years ago it would have, but not right now. And it kind of confuses me a little bit, honestly. I feel like it's not the smartest decision. Whenever rates are super high, you would think that would make cash purchases more attractive. And when rates are super low, cash purchases would be less attractive. But when you look at this chart, it says right now 29% of homes are bought with cash. And the anomaly is that 2020, 2021 had some of the lowest interest rates in history. And that's when cash purchases of homes started to really ramp up. And we all know the reason. The reason was, if you could tell a seller, hey, my buyer's cash, they don't have to get a loan approval, they don't have to go through appraisal, then you had a better chance of getting your offer accepted. And there was just so much competition in the market that if you didn't have cash, you were a second class buyer. So now that's changed, but look at how high it went up in 2023. 33.7% of purchases were cash. The last time that happened was in 2012. 34.8% of purchases were cash at that time. And then it went all the way down to 2016, which is 24.7% were cash. And I can remember for a long time in our market and feeling like no one was buying in cash. And that was because literally only 1/4 of the purchases were cash. And now it's closer to 30%. It's 29%, off from the high of 33. But that's an interesting, you would think right now rates are high, so that cash number should stay up there. But that's just not That's just not how it's treated with the vast majority of people.
I think it was Del Preti that had a chart not that long ago that showed the delinquencies of different credit vehicles, credit cards and mortgages and car loans and stuff like that increasing substantially. So
Yeah.
there's probably a bigger macroeconomic thing happening than people just sitting on cash.
We have a question in the chat, and I'm not a lender, but I think it's iTomGI, iTom_GI. What do you think of me refinancing now? Cut 2 percentage points off my interest rate, but increased my loan from $237K to $250K. Tom, I am not your CPA, accountant, attorney, nor a lender. So don't take my advice. But let me give you an opinion. I have a feeling that rates are going to go a little lower. I don't know why I have that feeling. Fed is going to change in May. But I do have a feeling that there may be more aggressive rate policies, and that could have rates go down. Now, the opposite is also true. There could be a more aggressive Fed going into place that is more in favor of the Trumpian rate reductions, and that may happen in May, and they may reduce the Fed funds rate, and the borrower's rate might stay high. That's possible. But if I was a betting man, which you should not bet or take my advice financially, but that's what I'd look at, Tom. Glad I could help, not help. Really, if you look, I just, and this is what I'm telling my buyers too. So less speculation on what you should do with your personal finances and more just what buyers may be looking at. I do have buyers that are saying that, hey, should I buy now or should I wait until the Fed lowers rates? And if the Fed lowers rates and if that causes actual mortgage rates to drop, and if more buyers run into the marketplace, the problem is going to be, you want to be where Tom is, right? You want to already own your home and want to stay where you are to catch the downtrend on the rates and refi. You don't want to be trying to find a house and battling all these other buyers that are in the market because rates are low and now they're throwing whatever they can to the seller and now those prices are going up and away. Home prices are not going to go down. Home values are not going to go down. List prices will go down. It was normal in 2019 for almost 50% of listed properties to have a price reduction. That was normal. So, and that was before any kind of COVID or any kind of anything that was going on. So it's not uncommon to see that. So don't get freaked when you see that 30% of current listings are dropping price. Home values are going down. No, in 2019, we all said home values are continuing to increase. And yet 40-something to 50-something% of listings every month were dropping their price. So that's my take, Tom. Leave it. I'm not even going to say take it. Just leave it.
I was just going to say, refer back to episode 350 for your...
Yeah, refer to legal disclaimers. Refer back to episode.
Also, Tom, check back in at the end of the year and see if our predictions were right on the interest rates.
So right. I'm going to be so right on that one. I really feel confident on that one.
If history says anything, I don't think that's the case.
If history says anything, it means I'll be so right. I was so right last year.
Close. I feel like you had an asterisk, or was that SCAP? I can't remember.
Hey, Andy, the lender's in the chat. Don't take Andy's advice because he's not your personal lender. I don't know what disclaimer you need, Andy. Andy says 2 points lower, and he is surely paying for them with the cost on the back end, it sounds like. So it doesn't sound like it's a great deal for you, Tom.
Well, depending on the lender, though, because there are some lenders that were doing 23, 24 deals, and even into 25, that were offering free refis. I don't know if you guys saw any of those in Arkansas, but here in Atlanta, there were a couple lenders that were like, yeah, 7%, but like, we'll just refi it for free. It was like, where does it say that in the terms and conditions? I'd like to read that part, please.
Yeah.
You're never going to make that promise. Ever.
Exactly.
There were a lot of lenders that are like, oh, yeah.
Can I help you out? Sure. But hey, at some point, we can't do this for free. And our companies and our branch managers want us to do this for free.
That's why I signed up, Andy. I signed up because I was told that if I bought a house now, I could refi in 2 years for free. Here come all the free
you're
fis.
telling me money's not free? Hold on. Wait a second, Andy.
You could call them free fis, Andy. You want a free fi?
Yeah, and then I'll be giving you free fries at McDonald's.
That's right.
Yeah, he does enough free fis and he'll do free fries. Actually, I'd take some free fries right now. I'm kind of hungry. All right. Home buyer down payments. Speaking of monies, home buyer down payments shrink for the first time in 5 months. Home buyer down payments shrink. What is this a sign of? The typical U.S. home buyer puts down 15%. I'm betting it's more about the mix of conventional versus VA versus FHA loans that are currently being put down. And there may be less conventional purchasing right now, more purchasing on the lower end of the market, which is traditionally FHA, VA, RD. And those have 0 down or 3% down, 3.5% down. So that's what I'm betting caused this. It's just the delineation between those mortgage types, because it's not a gigantic down. It's from 18.6% to 15.2% is what the typical U.S. homeowner is putting down.
Where that includes second homes and investment homes, because since you're not able to buy a whole lot with cash right now, people who have the cash are putting more down so they don't have PMI and they'll get a lower rate by putting more down, but they're probably not buying as much right now. So that's going to balance that out.
That's what I think so too.
Putting down lower amounts, or even your conventionals that are putting down, only 5 or 10%.
Right. All right, so this is interesting. A lot of times when you do see an increase in refis, like 180% a month ago, 132% today, you also see an increase in what? Do y'all know? Can y'all guess? I want y'all to guess. Drop it in the comments. What else do you see an increase in? Whenever you see an increase in refis, what do you see an increase in? Drop it. I'm going to wait for at least one comment. I will not continue the show. Free fries. That is not it. That is a comment though, Matt. That is a comment. That's not.
I thought for sure Chick-fil-A offered a reward if you refinanced a free chicken sandwich. Oh, free chicken sandwich.
Free chicken. Yeah, Lord's Chicken.
Yeah, go check your app, by the way. You probably got a free reward in there if you're on the app.
By the way, that's probably the opposite. What Chick-fil-A would do is say that if you took a 15-year fixed 20% down, which is the Dave Ramsey way, then you could get the Lord's Chicken.
Only on Sunday.
Yeah. It's like Book It. Y'all remember the Book It program where if you read enough, you got a lot of pizza? Needless to say, I loved reading. I mean, look at me. I never skipped a book. Yeah, that would be hilarious. If you get a refi right now, you get a free chicken sandwich. I wonder how many people would do that. It's like, it reminds me of the college days. Sign up for this credit card, you get a free t-shirt.
I think that was Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut was offering that, yeah. Book It program.
Book It, man. Book It was, yeah. Was awesome. Loved Book It.
It was just a personal pan pizza too, wasn't it? It wasn't like a large.
No.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
single topping, personal pan. Yeah.
They had a scam. What a scam.
And then I would play the arcade there for hours, play Double Dragon on the arcade back in the day. I mean, talk about taking every now and then I'll walk into a pizza joint and I'll smell the crust and the sauce and just get immediately transported back to the local Bryant Pizza Hut.
They still do this, by the way. It's just in an app now. You don't have to. Yeah. They debuted it last year, back in May, I think it was. Oh, so get them kids reading. Summer of Stories. Let's go.
Welcome to ADD Radio.
Yeah. Pizza Hut Book It program. It is back. It is back. How about that? Yeah, we're totally doing this. Yeah. All right, I just signed up. I literally just clicked the button and have the sign up in another window. I'm doing this. Okay, so what do you get? There's only been one guess so far that whenever you have an increase, a drastic increase in refis, what happens? What else happens in the market? What do you see? there's a huge thing that you see. You guys, you got to know this as a real estate agent. You got to know this because you got to be watching for it. Because it's how you advise your clients. Then you know, like, oh, I just saw a huge increase in refis. I should probably call my clients. What could you tell your clients that would be important? That they would say, oh man, he continues to provide value year after year. Y'all give up? I think y'all are giving up because there's no more comments. Home improvement. Whenever you see a giant increase in refis, you also see a giant increase in home improvement and remodeling. And it could be that they're remodeling because they know they need to sell and they're going to finally take some of these things and get them done. It could be that they have projects that they've put off and they've been waiting on rates to lower before they go through that project. It could be that they want to add on to their home. But either way, as a real estate agent, it's time to call your clients, check in with them, see if they're refining. And if they are, if they're going to do any remodeling or home improvement, help be their guide so they don't put their money where they shouldn't. The National Association of Home Builders says the NAHB expects remodeling growth in 2026 and beyond. The remodeling market is poised for growth in the coming years as many structural tailwinds, including an aging house stock, the persistent lock-in effect, and the trend for older homeowners to age in place will not be changing quickly, according to industry experts at a panel hosted by NAHB. Positive outlook is reflected in NAHB Westlake Rural Remodeling Market Index, a quarterly survey of NAHB remodel members that provides insight for the remodeling industry. In fact, the RMI has registered a reading above the break-even point of 50 for 24 consecutive quarters, showcasing a post-pandy resiliency. The remodel sector is also outpacing single-family and multifamily housing markets when compared to the respective sentiment measures over the past 5 years. Many factors contributing to it. Typical age of a home has increased from 31 years to 41 years. And with a dramatic rise, and the reason why, so, all right, typical age for a home in the last, not quite 20, let's see, in the last 17 years, the typical age of a home increased 10 years in the last 17 years. That kind of feels like fuzzy math for some. Well, the reason is because you have fewer housing starts. And because you have fewer housing starts, the average age of a home is getting older. Dramatic rise in home equity post-pandy, more homeowners are able to finance remodeling projects that align with their needs. Yeah, so the other side of that is that home prices, if you bought a home, wait, Christina, what? Christina just says, hey, Matt. Hey, Christina.
Hi, Christina.
Say hey to me too. Anyway, one of the things you see during that lock-in effect is that people got a super low rate on their house and they paid a lot of money for their house. And the amount of money they paid for their house, or the value of that home, hasn't drastically increased enough to pay for a refi. And their rate is so low, they don't really want to refi. So how do they access that equity? And, maybe you'll see an increase in the, oh, there he is. Okay. Thank you. Hey, Ray and gang. What's up? What's up? Christina Smallhorn. Thanks for joining us. Now there's all these Matt fans in the chat. Julie, what are y'all doing? Anyway, I'm so ADD on that. I don't know why.
Well, they've always been here. They're just now starting to speak. I mean, let's be honest with you.
They've been watching for hours. But that lock-in effect is what kept some people on the sidelines as far as refi goes. And now that they have a couple of years of equity and rates are at a price where they don't feel bad for refining, out of their 3.5%, they can get a 5.5%. Then, why not take some money out, do an improvement, do what you were going to do when you bought the house, but you didn't do it because you knew that if you asked for that at the time you bought the house, you wouldn't get the deal, right? Remember, guys, you couldn't ask for anything. So there you go. Touch base with your clients, see if they're doing any remodeling, because we do see the increase in that. Oh my goodness. Christina Smallhorn says, I'm a big fan of Matt. Thanks for joining the show, Matt.
Trying to bump those numbers up, trying to get you sponsored in here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Christina, does your show want to sponsor my show so I can increase my StreamYard purchase? Tom GI says, I heard there's no such thing as a free refi. Ours is at no cost refi. The closing cost and discount points are rolled into the loan. Rocket bought points to make it $250K to qualify for a lender credit. Tom, I'm going to say shop it, bro. Shop it. Could we get a Matt LaMarche commercial midstream? If Matt LaMarche wants to sponsor, yeah, you guys could get any kind of commercial midstream if they want to sponsor. They're the only sponsor I turned down so far. Well, actually, that's not true. The only sponsor that I turned down for reasons other than what their proposal was, was there was a Manscaped type of company that wanted me to do an ad about shaving balls and wanted me to show on stream shaving a tennis ball. And I was like, no, it's not going to happen.
See, support my Patreon and I'll support Ray's show.
Yeah, you guys,
and there will be no shaving of any balls.
That's right. If y'all want to, so, maybe that's okay, guys. Look, if you don't send me any money, I'm gonna have to get those kind of sponsors. No, I'm kidding. I've never asked for money. That'll be hysterical, though. It's like holding you guys hostage. Hey, speaking of holding hostage, terrible. Wait, hang on. No, I'm not gonna do that segue. That was a bad segue. I was gonna do it, but I'm not gonna do it because recent news would be bad. So I'm gonna think. Oh wow. All right, Matt. I see your. Hang on. Let's share this. Christina Smallhorn, if still here, is gonna love this. I gotta unshare, stop, and start. Please wait. Window. Oh man, it's not showing it. Oh, I gotta open it with preview. Hang on, please. All right, there you go. All right, this was brought to you by Matt LaMarche. There we are. Make real estate great again. Oh, look in the back. I just noticed the back says make real estate great again. She said, I am here. Christina Smallhorn says, are you playing music right? Or I'm hearing demons again. Both. Yeah, both. We are playing music, but the music doesn't sound demonic. So maybe you are also hearing demons. I would take that ball shaving ad. That would be fun. I don't know. All right. We talked about make real estate great again, Christina, because I got invited. Maybe you're going. Maybe I'll see you there. I got invited to go to the National Association of Realtors Chicago headquarters, and I'm going March 4th. So if you're going to be there, let me know. I'm actually going in a day early because for those of you who are at, in Real Broker, they're doing a Further Together. Actually, it's an event open to anyone, not just Real Broker, but they're doing a Further Together event there. And so that would be fun to see you guys there. All right,
I think the briefcase that I carry for you at NAR should have a handcuff to it.
For sure. I mean, you have to do that. Let's see. I'm gonna go. All right, this is the last story of the day. Oh, you're moving to Pittsburgh. That's right. All right. Well, what are you saying, Tom? If anyone can make it great, it's the Don. Loved his move to buy back the mortgage-backed securities. Just wish he'd end the Fed. What a racket that has turned into. Yeah. That's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen in our lifetime, but maybe, who knows? Maybe in the future. Okay. Do you guys have pictures of your house on Zillow? Did you know, as a real estate agent, there's some sentiment out there right now being discussed because the whole thing that's happened with the Guthries, and that people are using Zillow and home pictures of Zillow and old home tours and things like that to break into houses. And this was shared on, and this is not a news story. I've seen stuff like this before, but criminals are using Zillow to plan break-ins. And this article says, here's how to remove your home in 10 minutes. And the article has like a step-by-step in text. And I thought this would be a great and timely piece for you guys to put out there too, to show people exactly what to do on how to remove their home from Zillow. This does a couple of things. One is Zillow's AI and algorithm is going to be crawling all over your home to determine all kinds of stuff about your home. And if you don't want Zillow's AI crawling all over your home, you need to show people how to claim their house and then remove the photos, and they can edit the listing and everything. Now, the danger part of this that it says to do, it also tells you how to remove your home off of Google. Now, I don't recommend that. I understand if some of you work for the feds or something like that, it's something that you kind of have to do. I would remove it off of Zillow. I would remove it off Redfin. I would remove it off Realtor.com. And if you're a real estate agent out there, this is a really cool, easy how-to that you can put out on Instagram right now to show people exactly how to take your home off. But then it says Google Street View. This is the part that I don't like. You know, you could search your address. You under request blurring, select my home and submit it. And it says, FYI, once it's blurred, it's permanent. Good. But if you ever try to sell your house, I have had clients look up a house on Google Maps and the house is blurred and they instantly think something bad happened. So right now, the public sentiment of a blurred house is that's creepy. What's happening? It's Street View. While I don't think you should have pictures of the inside of your home everywhere online, I also don't think it's a good idea necessarily to blur the outside of your home because it is permanent. You can't undo it. And because it's permanent, whenever you want to sell, it's like I can't unblur the house when I want to sell and somebody's trying to check out the Street View. The other thing that's happening is that Street View is used by a lot of third-party sources. And so if your home is blurred on Street View and then somebody goes on Zillow or some kind of website that's licensed the Street View for their lookup, then whenever somebody looks at the Street View of your home on that website to purchase your home, it's going to be blurred. And that has had an adverse effect on some of the houses that I've sold in the past. It says on the article though, pro tip, ask your old listing agent to pull the photos from the MLS. Once they're gone from the MLS, the feeder sites eventually follow. True. Some MLSs, you can't edit a listing after the photos, after it's expired. So you'd have to make a request to the MLS to remove those, but that can be done. On our MLS, we usually leave one exterior photo and all the others can be removed if requested. If not requested, we like to leave them in the MLS if possible, because it's easier for comparable sales. So it's better to remove them off of the third-party websites without removing them from the MLS, because appraisers do use that. So if an appraiser is trying to value a home in your neighborhood and they are not getting the value they're looking for, they may not be getting the value they're looking for because you can't see inside any of the homes because everybody's had their home removed, and that's not going to be good for you either and for your home price. So that's my pro tip. Have it removed from the third-party sites. Don't get it blurred on Google, and don't remove it from the MLS unless you just have to for some reason. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining the show. Whoa, hang on. Sorry. For those of you, that could have been loud. Here it is. Okay. There, that's much better. Apologies. Thanks everyone for joining the show this week for episode 350. We will be live again next week. And then the following week, I will be in Chicago at the NAR headquarters. So reach out to me on Instagram. Let me know what you want me to ask NAR. Let me know what your thoughts are. And by episode 351, we'll gather some of those ideas, and I'll be sure to share them on your behalf. Tom says, thanks for the advice. I did not give you advice, Tom. I said it was specifically not advice and you should leave it. And I said, don't take my advice. But I did give you an opinion. Matt said, I thought that was a Fox News alert. It was there. It was there. Well, thanks. Tom liked and subbed despite me not giving him advice. He says, thanks for the non-advice. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right, guys, thanks for joining. And again, if you hate the show, the best way to hate on the show is to do it live. So be sure you like and subscribe so that you can be notified when we go live, and then leave me your opinion live. Thank you to all of the podcast listeners that are still listening. The vast majority of people that listen to the show listen to it later through one of their favorite podcatchers. So I appreciate you guys. You guys make this show just as fun for me as the live crowd, because I love hearing from you. I love getting the DMs. I love seeing you at conferences and hearing how you listen to it. So I just want to thank you again. Episode 350 is in the books. Bye, everybody.